Decision-making is contextual. It's complex, and often it can feel siloed. When it comes to choosing and implementing instructional materials, we believe that connecting the individual experiences of all key stakeholders is important for setting students up for success. And while we know what is chosen matters, we also believe how and why it is chosen and implemented matters. And with a Hexagon discussion and analysis tool, the why and the how illuminate important perspectives, becoming valuable outcomes themselves. Let us explain. The Hexagon tool, developed by the National Implementation Research Network, is a process for listening deeply to your key stakeholders in order to make informed decisions, and also acts as a guide as you prepare for implementation. It consists of 3 indicators focused on the instructional materials and 3 indicators focused on your system. In the case of this tool, the system means your district or your charter network. The instructional materials indicators ask teams to think about the evidence, usability, and supports related to the materials. The system indicators ask teams to consider your system's needs, the fit with your system, and the capacity of your system to implement the materials. You can think of these indicators as lenses for evaluating the materials under consideration. However, instead of a lens like a microscope that might help you zoom in on the instructional materials, these lenses are more like kaleidoscopes. They allow you to see multiple perspectives of key stakeholders in relationship to the instructional materials. These intersecting perspectives allow you to reflect on the questions: what would it look like to implement these materials in our context? And what does that tell us about whether it's a good fit for us? So how does it work? Through an objectively facilitated process, your team will consider a set of instructional materials by discussing guiding questions for each indicator section and selecting rating scores based on the descriptions. If your team encounters a disagreement about how to rate a specific indicator, keep in mind that it's not all about the scores. It's about sparking conversations to gain insights into your team's perspectives. Now, you might consider asking questions like, what are we hearing here from our team? Or what does this tell us that we need to take into consideration? Each question and the discussions that emerge from them will help you see new perspectives relating to the materials and consider if there are adjustments that can be made to implement them successfully. After your team has selected scores for each indicator, you'll be ready to review your summary to inform your decision-making and implementation planning. So let's look at an example of how the context of a system might guide and influence the final decision-making and action planning with the Hexagon tool. In this example, a district team led a strong data analysis and needs assessment process, so they have a strong understanding of their needs for new materials. They're now considering 2 final sets of highly rated instructional materials. As they discussed the fit of each set of materials, teachers pointed out that while both sets align with their instructional vision, it's going to be a shift for teachers in terms of the pedagogical approach. However, Program B fits better with their diagnostic assessment system. While the team believes the usability is strong overall for both, they also believe that both programs will require some orientation for new teachers to learn to navigate them. As they move to discussing capacity, a principal points out that they have significant teacher turnover each year. So while they could get staff ready to implement with the right structures and training, it'll require a lot of intentional ongoing staff capacity building for either option. For Program B, there will also be more systems capacity changes needed to implement successfully, including changing school schedules. Finally, they consider the supports available to implement. As of right now, they have the budget for initial staff training from the publishers, but no ongoing external training. And Program B has stronger resources to support partnering with families. They ultimately decide to move forward with Program B, because even though the scores aren't perfect, there is strong evidence and buy-in for it to be a great fit. And they think they can make the necessary changes to set implementation up for success by building strong ongoing teacher training and coaching systems, adjusting instructional minutes in the schedule, and reprioritizing budgets to set up stronger publisher professional development supports. And that's the power of the Hexagon tool. It revealed the rich mosaic of their team's perspectives and experiences through purposeful discussion and deep listening to guide their decision-making and planning, informed where they needed to focus their attention for implementation, all while guiding them towards the materials that they can implement successfully for their system and students.